Hello and Namaste. In the previous post, we had seen the signs hidden in the sculptures of Kailashanatha temple and in the image of Nataraja. We also discovered that stories like Rahu and Ketu have astronomical significance. You may ask, why was this done? Why were most straightforward methods not used to share knowledge? Remember, books were a scarce and expensive commodity. Very few people had access to written material. Not everyone had access to teachers and educators. In such a scenario, how do you preserve knowledge? How do you ensure that all people have access to learning? Today I want to talk to you about how knowledge management was done in ancient times. Our ancients seem to have employed ingenious methods to encode knowledge in art, stories, traditions, poetry, and music. In this post, I want to give you some examples of how poetry and verse were used for preserving knowledge. This is going to be a tough one. You remember when I spoke about the hidden signs of Kailashanatha temple, I told you, please stick with me. I promise it will be worth it. I'm making the same promise here. One of my first encounter with hidden signs in Sanskrit verse was this Vedic mantra. It is a verse I learnt as a child. We chanted at the conclusion of any puja. It goes like this. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. This mantra was composed in 700 BC. This is the literal translation of the verse. You are fullness, there is fullness, here is fullness. From fullness, fullness is born. Remove fullness from fullness and fullness alone remains. The literal meaning of the word Purnaha is full, that which is complete. You cannot add anything to it nor deplete it. That is why we say Brahman, the principle from which the whole universe emerged, is Purnaha. Another meaning of this word is infinite. A Maths professor pointed out to me that this is the definition of infinity from mathematics. Please go back to your school days. Remember we learned this concept called infinity when we were learning calculus. What is infinity? It is not like any other number in mathematics. It always remains unchanged. You add anything to infinity, it remains infinity. More importantly, even if you subtract anything from infinity, it remains infinity. Infinity minus infinity is not zero. This is not how other numbers behave in mathematics. 2 minus 2 is 0, 5 minus 5 is 0, 100 minus 100 is 0. But infinity minus infinity is infinity. You can never deplete or change infinity. That is what the sloka implies when it claims, remove the fullness from fullness and the fullness alone remains. Remove infinity from infinity and infinity remains. Several years after I heard this theory, I attended a lecture by Professor Ramasubramanian of IIT Mumbai. He explained how poetry was used to encode mathematical concepts in our tradition. He gave example of another verse with a more explicit definition of infinity. This is what the verse says. Whatever you add or remove from it, it is unchanged. Just like Brahman is unchanged when the universe emerges from it and folds into it. It remains the same. Infinity also has the same property. Apart from verses which explain mathematical concepts directly, there were several coding systems in use to encode mathematical concepts in poetry. In one system called Katapayadi system, numbers were assigned to each alphabet of Sanskrit script. It looks like this. A set of Sanskrit letters are assigned a number. Look at the first column. The number 1 is assigned to Ka, Ta, Pa and Ya. That is how the system gets its name. Katapayadi system. Similarly, number 3 is assigned to Ga, Da, Ba and La. Using this, mathematicians composed poetry to encode formulae, equations and mathematical values. To a non-mathematician, it carried no mathematical meaning. Take this poem for example. Gopi Bhagya Madhuvrata Shringisho Dadi Sandiga Kalajivita Ghatava Galahala Rasandara. This looks like a poem in praise of Krishna. Hey Krishna, the fortune of gopis, the destroyer of demon Madhu, protector of cattle, the one who ventured the ocean's depths, destroyer of evildoers, the one with a plough on the shoulder and bearer of nectar. May you protect us. A lay person can appreciate the poem for its meaning. It could serve as a prayer to Lord Krishna. For a mathematician who is familiar with Kattapayadi system, this has a different meaning. If he decodes it using Kattapayadi key, it will yield the value of pi up to 31 decimal places. This verse directly yields the decimal equivalent of pi divided by 10. Kattapayadi was not the only encoding system. There were several such systems. Another popular method of coding was Bhuta Sankhya system. In this system, instead of letters, objects were assigned numbers. Here are some examples. The word for eyes stood for the number 2 because we have 2 eyes. Senses meant 5 because we have 5 sense organs. Vedas meant 4 because there are 4 Vedas. Space and the connected words represented the number 0 because space was considered empty. Arrow represented number 5 because the god of love Manmatha had 5 arrows. Hills represented number 7 like the 7 hills of Tirupati. Rama is 3 because there are 3 Ramas in Dashavatara. Balarama, Parashurama and Sri Rama. All the words and their synonyms represented a number. With these, mathematicians could compose beautiful poems and verses which could be appreciated at several levels. You can admire the beauty of the verse, and if you are a mathematician, you can discover new wonders with numbers. This system was employed a lot in inscribing dates and years. Here is an example. Bana Vyoma Dharadara Indu Ganita Sake, which means in the Saka year enumerated by the arrows, the sky, the mountains and the moon. So as you know, arrows represented number 5. The sky or space represents number 0. Mountains and hills represents number 7. And moon is 1 because there is only one moon. So this means the year 1705. Saka 1705. So the mathematicians of ancient India like Aryabhatta, Bhaskara, Pingala, Hemachandra were not only pioneering mathematicians but also talented poets. Another current day mathematician whom we must listen to is Manjul Bhargava. Manjul Bhargava is the youngest recipient of Fields Medal. Fields Medal is the equivalent of Nobel Prize in mathematics. His mother was a musician and maths professor and his grandfather was a Sanskrit scholar. He says in his lectures that his fascination for maths developed from Sanskrit poetry and classical Indian music. He speaks about research done by ancient poets like Pingala and Hemachandra on poetry and music that led to such discoveries as Fibonacci series and other mathematical insights. He speaks extensively on how mathematical ideas were applied in development of poetry and the rhythms in music. He claims that mathematics has its origins in ancient arts. All these ancient scholars considered themselves artists, not mathematicians. He feels this is how maths should be learned, through music and poetry, not the cold, clinical, abstract methods employed in schools today. I have provided a link to his lecture from Princeton University in the description below, which elaborates on all these concepts. I have also given a link to a lecture of Professor Ramasubramanian. I strongly recommend you watch them. I am painfully aware that I am not doing justice to these deep subjects. One of the main reasons for using poetry and music to encode knowledge was because they are easy to memorize. Since printing was not invented, access to books were limited to few people. Knowledge had to be spread orally and remembered accurately. Don't we still remember the songs of our childhood? If the entire Maths textbook was a song or a poem, it will be easy to memorize and remember, isn't it? That's it from me this week. So far, we have seen how knowledge was encoded in temples and temple art. in stories and poetry. Next week, I want to talk about how knowledge was encoded in rituals and traditions. Thank you for watching. Please share, subscribe and like. Press the bell icon for reminders. Please share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments. Until next week, Namaste.